All around NBA expect Raptors to run it back. That's number one. Raptors are reluctant to blow up their roster. They believe that they're not that inferior to Miami, who made the finals. That's number two. Portland obviously linked to OG and Pascal. Toronto remains unwilling to part with OG Ananobi. Jakob Pertl prefers not to be in a rebuilding situation next season, so that means you wasted a pick if you guys do decide to rebuild. And if you decide not to rebuild because of Jakob Pertl, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard in my life because it's Jakob
That will
Pertl.
be the dumbest thing
All
ever.
right, Jakob Pertl ain't anything
That'll be the
crazy.
dumbest thing ever.
But here's a trade scenario for you: the Pacers, Mavs, and Raptors could engage in a three-team deal that would land Raptors multiple firsts, including the seventh overall pick, Buddy Hield going to Dallas, and OG going to Indiana. You're telling me if that was actually offered you, and Raptors don't accept, how pissed would you be?
I would be mad because I've said it many times. Raptors need to rebuild. The point you said about Raptors and Miami.
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna let you go on an actual rant. I'm gonna say this last thing before you go off. You just saw Boston go to the finals a year ago, and this past season get out in the second or third round, right? They made moves. They just added Kristaps Porzingis. They were already a title favorite if they didn't make any moves, right? You saw Phoenix on the other side, same thing, making moves. So for me, I don't get how Masai thinks that the Raptors, and I get it, he finessed the trade for Kawhi. So I don't know if he thinks he's a master finesser all of a sudden. And how do you think staying put will help you? Like that's my point. Like how is staying put? Miami had Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler is much better than Pascal Siakam as a one option. Okay, so and Miami still couldn't get past Denver at the end of the day, and it helped that Giannis was injured. You play who you play, so I'm not taking away any credit. And then on top of that, you have a new head coach who they believe that could either rebuild or could put this team over the top. I don't think your roster right now could put you over the top, but anyways, I'll give you the floor for the next bit.
All right, first point. You are a similar mold to Miami. That's the report, right? Was that the report?
I'll read it.
They believe that they're similar to Miami. They're not that much inferior to Miami.
Yeah, the Raptors don't see themselves as all that inferior, if at all, to the Miami Heat, who have made to the two NBA Finals the last 4 years.
All right, point one. Last 4 years, Miami made year one. Miami made the finals in the bubble. Raptors got out in the second round. Okay, it's still like a decent run by the Raptors because it was a game 7. Year two, yes, Raptors were in Tampa. Miami still made the playoffs. They got swept by the Bucks. Tampa Raptors landed a lottery pick. Got Scotty Barnes. Obviously, it worked out a little bit. Year three, Miami 1 seed, conference finals, 1 shot away from the finals. Raptors got lucky. We got a 4-2. Like, the best thing that happened in that playoff series is that we didn't get swept because we were losing. This year, this team made the finals as an 8 seed. Your team blew a double-digit lead against the Chicago Bulls. So, what way do you think your teams are similar, performance-wise?
Fred VanVleet might even just leave this team, so like in the offseason for nothing.
Yeah, so what ways do you think your team is similar? Ever since basically the championship run, the first year in the bubble, I would say that was a decent year, right? Especially after Kawhi leaving. But what Miami did and what you guys did are nothing similar, performance-wise. And Miami's roster stayed pretty similar throughout.
Their coach is the same for like over a decade.
Yeah, and your roster stayed same throughout. So how do you believe that you are not inferior to Miami? It is clear that you are inferior to Miami.
See, now, the funny thing here is that before the Kawhi trade, what was this team? It was a perennial playoff team, but like a second round exit.
Yeah, it's not even that team anymore. This team is not even a perennial playoff team, in my opinion.
But my point is, Masai made that big move. So what makes you think that that big move was Kawhi Leonard, who arguably at that time, even right now, you could argue when healthy, is a top 5 player in the NBA. You don't have a top 10 player in the NBA, right?
Like available.
Yeah, like right now on your roster.
On our roster, we didn't have that in before too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like
until we
you
got
traded
Kawhi.
for Kawhi, and then when Kawhi left in free
Yeah, so
agency,
no,
and
think
what makes you? That's what I'm saying. What makes you think that you're not that much inferior to Miami?
don't yeah because with this roster, unless you could think you could pull off something.
The only team that did something without like a superstar player was the Detroit Pistons from 04.
Yeah, but
The
that
2011
was 04.
Yeah, the 2011
Dirk is
was
still
a superstar.
Dirk is still sick.
At that time, and then this past year Jokic, and he still had a solid team around.
Yeah.
Like we had an argument of a 1A 1B Murray, right? One and two option. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think if you so you're saying that Pascal Siakam should be traded. They should have traded.
Okay, I'm gonna say this much. You know the DeMar DeRozan, Kyle Lowry team, right?
Yeah.
That team is better than this team we have right now. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Right? Because Kyle Lowry was still good enough. Kyle Lowry was better than Fred VanVleet.
Okay.
That Kyle Lowry was better than Fred VanVleet. DeMar and Pascal leveled out a little bit. I would argue Pascal was a little bit better because Pascal these last 2 years has actually Pascal had good seasons these
Yeah,
last 2 years.
No one's
Like
saying
it
Pascal's
was
a bad
all
player.
like both seasons were all NBA caliber.
But if you're saying Pascal Siakam's a number one in this
But
league, you're a
he's not
mistake.
your number one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's what he is in 2019.
Yeah.
He's the same player as
And that was, like-
these last 2 years. He's been the same player as 2019. In 2019, he had Kawhi Leonard.
So
Who does he have now?
No one.
Fred
He's the
VanVleet.
number one guy.
Fred VanVleet ain't that guy.
But I'm saying like, he was the number two to Kawhi. Now he's the number one.
Yeah, so expect that. That's a jump. Like, who are you better than? You're not better than the Bucks. You're not better than the Celtics. You're not better than the Heat because I just proved why. You're not better than the Cavaliers.
The Sixers.
You're not better than the Sixers.
So that puts you at least minimum six.
That's playing spot. Hawks,
Hawks,
Knicks are better than you.
on paper right now.
Yes, and especially what they've shown this year. Even though Hawks were a little bit underwhelming, but Hawks were still better than you. The Bulls beat you.
Yeah.
I might even have to consider the Bulls better than you. So, at what do you think? Like, how do you think that you are a contender when the Bulls beat you?
Yeah, no, I agree. So my question to you is, before we wrap it up here, you're clearly wearing the championship shirt right now.
Because I'm in sad times right now, and I said that during championship times, like, I will be happy. Like, this one will just make me happy for the rest of my life. But
Oh, for sure, the championship's a championship.
yeah, championship. So, like, even if we don't win another one, but obviously once you win one,
You're a fan.
once you win one, you want to win more.
You still want to, yeah.
Yeah. And then,
so,
like, it's just frustrating.
back to that
It's
loyalty.
frustrating because it's reminding me of the Canucks.
Yeah.
You're rolling out the same roster again and getting the same result.
Yeah.
You ain't going anywhere.
So back to that loyalty talk. Pascal Siakam, trade him at its peak. Depending on the package.
He's gonna get you something. He will get you something.
Like, okay, and then OG Anunoby. He's relatively younger, but he's like, what, 26, I believe?
He will get you something too. Like, OG is a great piece.
So your team trade OG. If Fred walks, your team trade OG. And
Bro, I want Fred to walk at this rate. I'm disappointed that we didn't trade Fred at the deadline.
so OG,
Like, all these moves saying that, oh, Pascal might get traded deadline, Fred might get traded deadline. What'd you do? You added Jakob Poeltl.
So OG's going to be 26 in July.
Yeah, you added Jakob Poeltl. What the hell did Jakob Poeltl
If
do
he
for you?
walks, you lose a first round pick there. Considering if you go in a rebuilding situation.
Yeah, so like what the previous year you made the playoffs, so I want to argue that you bought like that young trade. You got to get rid of Gordon Dragic, right?
You still wasted a pick.
You still wasted a
could've
pick.
Just bought out
Yeah.
Gordon Dragic for that 1 year.
So I wouldn't bash that one, but this one when you were freaking clearly in a play-in spot or battling not even like for a 7, 8, a 10. You're battling just to be in the play-in. And you freaking added Jakob Poeltl thinking that he's going to freaking turn your season around? I don't understand that.
And you have Otto Porter, who you could still trade as well, technically.
Like,
As-
the fact that you did... I said this before. I'm saying this now. There's missed opportunities. That Kyle Lowry package would have been much better if you did it at the deadline. There would have been a package for Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers could have offered something for Fred
Yeah.
VanVleet, right?
We were in talks, but again, like there were reports that people are frustrated dealing with the Raptors because of Masai.
It's frustrating right now because you missed like this. You wouldn't be in this situation if you executed the Kyle Lowry properly and just taken the deal, whatever it was. Because I think there were decent packages still, and if you traded Fred VanVleet at the deadline, you'll be in a much better position right now because right now you're in no man's land. I don't know if you're going. Well, for me, obviously, is rebuild. But looking at you, it's like your rosters ain't like bottom 5 or bottom like 11 to 15
Yeah.
in the conference, but you ain't top 6. Top 6 is a playoff spot.
Here's the thing. Last thing before we move on. I agree. It should be rebuilt unless miraculously Giannis becomes available, which I doubt, or something like that, right? And even then, you gotta like give up pieces to get pieces. But if you do trade Pascal and OG and whoever, Otto Porter, whatever, you're gonna get picks. Obviously, you're hoping the third pick, but I still think that's a lot for a guy just for Pascal. Maybe you had to package Pascal and I don't know who else on your roster, like a Chris Boucher or something. But you guys could easily become the OKC Thunder if Scotty pans out. If you guys do get the third or fourth pick, and one of the Thompson twins or Scoot Henderson, whatever is your main point guard, you have Malachi Flynn who has potential. It's just can he finally get the opportunity, which you will with a new coach, hopefully, right? So for me, it's like rebuild. I don't know, Raptor fans, you guys could discuss below, rebuild or be that whatever happens in the playoffs happens mentality, right? But let's move on.
Realistically, yeah, I'm say one last point. How often is the 8 seed gonna make the final? Not often, right?
Yeah.
And Raptors are 8 seed at best.